How's it going, guys? Daniel here from Booredatwork. We're going to talk about a 3-month review of the Huawei P20 Pro. I'm going to kick it off with the usability. Now, in terms of the OS, the EMUI for me isn't the best. I do like a more Android stock feel, so I opted out for a Nova launcher. For those who are coming from an Android phone, they would probably want more of an Android feel, not more of an Apple phone. Now, if you're coming from an iOS side of things, then you do or will find it more welcoming. I do like the big screen. It is great for watching content and playing games, and of course taking pictures as well. In terms of performance, it's great. It's still super smooth. Of course, it's octa-core with 6 gigs of RAM, so when you're watching movies or going through content, it's still smooth, so there's no down performance there. So this phone has a fingerprint reader and face unlock. Now for the fingerprint reader, I do find myself using less and more on the face detection. For me, it's just more natural to pick up my phone and swipe at the same time, and it just gets into my home screen not much faster, but it's just more natural. Now in terms of camera, we do have a separate video with a professional photographer so you guys can see what he thinks with that video. The pictures coming off of this camera I think is really good. Now sometimes it can be too much with the post-processing, sometimes it could be really contrasty, and sometimes it can look borderline cartoony. Of course you can fix that with the editor. Now I've been to Europe shooting with this phone for the past week, shooting constantly on this phone every single day. The auto mode is really good. In terms of the AI, when you shoot a landscape, when you shoot buildings, you will most likely see the sky, and a lot of times the AI thinks or applies the blue sky feature. And that's something I really like. It really makes the sky vivid and vibrant with the blue, and it just makes the whole picture pop. Now when you point it at a person, it's gonna most likely change to portrait mode because of course the AI thinks that it's a person and you want to take a portrait mode of that person. Now AI is great, but it doesn't work all the time. When you're taking a group photo, depending on how they're stacked up or how they're placed, it may think that you want to take a portrait picture. Just because this one person might be too close to the camera and the AI thinks it's just going to take a picture of that one person in the front. So if the group is evenly stacked, it should be fine for the most part. Another mode I do find myself using a lot is aperture mode. And it's a mode where you kind of get a lot of DSLR type photos. You do have a lot of depth of field, and then you can control that after the fact you took the picture. Now with aperture mode, you can also take pictures of people, and most of the times you can even control that bokeh dial to even be more blurry than the one in portrait mode. Another feature I do use a lot is night mode. Of course, when it's nighttime, that's when I use it the most, but there are some things that you can do and you can't do with it. One thing you can't do is just snap a quick picture. Now, when you use night mode, it will most likely take 4 seconds, maybe sometimes up to 20 seconds to take the picture. This is ideal for taking pictures of landmarks, architecture, and objects, but less ideal for people, unless the person you're taking a picture of doesn't mind holding your smile for 4 seconds. And after those 4 seconds are up, the pictures tend to come out pretty clean. There's not too much noise, the pictures is pretty sharp depending on if the object is still and your hands are still. There are all the modes within the camera app. Night mode impresses me the most. For video, you can shoot up to 4K, 1080-60, and 1080-30. And you only get stabilization on 1080-30, which is a bummer for me. But when you do shoot on 1080-30, the stabilization works really well. The video camera on this phone is along the lines of picking it up, point, and shoot. Now, it's not going to be great in low light, of course, but for someone who just want to bring on vacation, capture their kids or pets, or just point and shoot at something, it's going to be good. Now, if you want to see more video examples, you can check out our IGTV, or I did a whole video on the Europe trip shot only with the Huawei P20 Pro. Now moving on to battery life. This phone has 4000 mAh battery, so it is a huge battery on this phone. Throughout the whole Europe trip, I was constantly on my phone, taking pictures, taking videos, horizontal and vertical, along with scrolling on social media, posting pictures on Instagram, and by the end of the day, I have roughly about 30 to 40% depending on how much I use it on that day. Now that's still plenty of more battery life for me to scroll through social media or even watch YouTube videos. I enjoy using it. I've been using it intensively for 1 week in Europe, constantly switching back and forth on apps, shooting video, shooting photo. For photography, it takes really good pictures, especially when you use the right mode during the right time. The whole face unlock changed the way how I use the fingerprint reader Performance on this phone is really smooth throughout my uses of the phone. Now, depending on where you're coming from, whether you're an Android user or an iOS user, you may not like the OS on this phone. Of course, there is an easy fix, but it is another step. So I think it's a really good phone. I've been stress testing this phone for a week, switching from apps, taking pictures, taking video, and at the end of the day, I still have a lot of battery life left for me to do whatever I want. Now, if you're a light smartphone user, this phone would definitely last you throughout the day or even the next day. If you're a heavy user, pretty much like how I use the phone throughout the week, then it will still last you for the whole day. So that is the 3 months review. I really enjoy using this phone. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, favorite this video, share this video, and always enjoy your entertainment.